Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I wanted to let you know that I had a few notes about the personal narrative speeches that you completed. This was the first major assignment of your speech communication class, and everybody did a really good job. I appreciate the energy and the attention that you put into your speeches. It's not always easy to talk about yourself, and so the way the class as a whole handled this assignment, really proud of you for what you did. I have graded most of the assignments. There are a few that I'm still working on, so give me about 24 hours and I'll make sure everybody has their comments. Uh, uh, that you will have those as soon as possible. And I did have just a couple of general scatter shooting notes that I wanted to share with the class. And these are notes that they're not specific to any one speaker. So if this rings true to you, I don't want you to think that I'm singling one person out, because I've noticed a couple things in all of the speeches that will help you as you move forward. So very quickly, um, one of the just some of the real basics on our speeches as we prepare for your next assignment. Be very conscious of the time. We do monitor the time, and you'll note that I note the time in your observation. There is a penalty if you go under or over time. Also, camera angles are really important. I don't take off for the camera angles, particularly for this particular speech, but be sure that you are not too close or too far away. We want to be able to see your gestures, and if you're too close, you can't see those, and then if you're far away, audio becomes an issue, as well as uh, being able to see you uh, for the duration of the speech. For the speeches themselves, I prefer that you stand during your speeches. We had a few folks who remained seated during the speech. I think it's important for you to stand during all of these assignments, and I think it also helps with you being able to make gestures and be able to have a formal setting when you make a speech. Also, when you're talking to your audience, technically your audience is the camera. It's not necessarily the folks that are in the room, so please be mindful of that. I want you to be speaking right into the recording device, and that should also help you center yourself for the duration of the speech. A few items that I want you to be aware of as well is that when you make a quote, a citation within your speech, you need to quote that source, whether it be a quote from an author or from scripture. Be sure to cite that source within your speech. Uh, on the technology side, I noticed we still have some individuals who you will uh, download the speech for me, which I appreciate, but I can't use a downloaded version of your speech. I need it to be a URL hyperlink so I can go right to Canvas. Technically, should be able to just click on it and it takes me right to YouTube, and your speech fires up. Because of Laterno's IT policies, even if I could download your speech, they really don't want us to. So, and usually the files are so large that it's not downloadable anyway. So a downloadable speech is not helpful to me. During your speech, some of you like to use a mobile device like an iPhone. Now, I understand. I'm a dinosaur. When I started giving speeches, the iPhone was never invented, nor were cell phones. So um, I understand that a lot of individuals like using the iPhone. There are some issues with it because sometimes it's a little more difficult to read your notes from an iPhone. But if you do want to use your iPhone, um, as long as it's not a distraction, I'm for it. Just make sure it's fully charged. Turn off the volume. Make sure it doesn't ring. To make sure you don't have any incoming calls during your speech. And definitely practice. Do a full session with your speech to make sure you're comfortable with it. As for notes, it's your personal preference how you want to use your notes. Some individuals like using a notepad. Some like note cards. There's not one tried and true um, idea of how to use your notes. For your final speech of this class, it'll be a manuscript speech, so it has to be in manuscript form. But for the first three speeches, you have all the leeway you want in terms of what notes you want to use. Now, I will make recommendations on the notes because I will observe how you handle notes, and some individuals may need to modify how they use notes. The bottom line is practicing your speech and using your notes as a backup is really the best policy. And that way you're not tied to your notes and you're not taking the attention away from the audience. Couple other things on your when you submit a written assignment in any form, with this class and really for any of your Laterno classes, make sure that it's an APA form and that you have your name on the assignment and that is in the format that we've requested. Now, for the self-critiques, please number your self-critiques. The self-critiques are 3 positive aspects that you liked about your speech and 3 opportunities that you would like to work on regarding your speech. And I really appreciate the self-analysis. Now, don't overanalyze yourself because sometimes we can be our harshest critics. So make sure that you don't be too hard on yourself. I really want some, candid observations, both good and bad, and then just put them in multiple sentences and I really appreciate your feedback. You will pick up on things that I don't pick up on because you might be more self-conscious about other items. I notice a lot of people felt that they were nervous during their speech. I don't always pick up on that because I don't know you as well, and so I don't see that as much. But then there are other items that I will see that maybe you won't. As for that, those are all the items I had for our personal narrative. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever throughout the course of the class, please feel free to call me. We can set up a conference call meeting, and I appreciate all the input that I have been receiving from the students. And again, I'm here for you. Have a great week and onward to the next speech. Congratulations.